Low desire and desire discrepancy are two of the most common reasons people seek sex therapy today. In this episode, we are going to walk through 2 reasons why your partner might not have the same desire levels as you and what you can do about it. Welcome back to The Naked Connection. This is the show that supports driven men to reach sexual mastery and build deep connections. It's Kirsten, and today we are talking all about desire and why your girl might not be as easily aroused or excited as you are about sex. And I am going to share 3 specific ways you can support shifting this dynamic in your relationship. So you guys, let's get some. I want to share one of the most helpful frameworks to really understand sexual desire, and that is called the dual control model. Now, the easiest way to explain this is actually through a car analogy, and I know I am not a car girly, but here we are. You want to think about your sexual response system like a car with both a gas pedal and a brake. So the accelerator, or what's called the sexual excitation system, responds to sexy things in your environment. This could be touch, it could be fantasies, it could be that lingering look from your partner. The brain is sending signals to your sexual center, to your genitals, saying, yes, turn on, let's go, as it is scanning the environment for sex-related input. Now, this is really a subconscious system that is running in the background of your daily life all the time. You're constantly surveying your environment, and yes, it's looking to pick up on cues for sexual excitation. But equally as important as your sexual accelerator are your brakes, and this is the sexual inhibition system. Now, there are 2 types of brakes. The first is the regular brake in a car that you push with your foot. So this brake works much the same way as the gas pedal. It is constantly scanning the environment for threats or really reasons not to get aroused in the moment. And it is sending signals to your sexual center, to your genitals, saying, turn off now. Now, the brakes respond to anything that your brain perceives as a threat or a turnoff. This could be stress in your life. It could be relationship conflict. It could be body image concerns. You name it, it's showing up in those moments. And also, these breaks are here to prevent you from getting aroused inappropriately, say in the middle of a business meeting or presentation, or maybe when you're out at dinner with your relatives. This could also work in the event that you are hooking up with somebody, it's getting hot, it's getting steamy, and your mom walks in. Or let's say you're out in the wilderness on a hike, having sex with your girl, and all of a sudden a bear shows up. This is where your brakes are going to show up. This is where that turn-off signal is going to be running on hyperdrive. Now, there are 2 types of brakes, as I mentioned, and the second brake is really like that of the e-brake, the handbrake in a car. If you try to drive your car with your handbrake on, you might be able to get down the street, but it's going to take longer, it's going to feel uncomfortable, and there is likely going to be damage to your car. This brake, sexually speaking, is about performance failure. So think fear of not orgasming, fear of taking too long to become aroused, or more in the sense of if you're a man and you're experiencing this type of brake, it's maybe the fear of not being able to get hard or the fear of not being able to maintain an erection. So this brake is more about internal fears, whereas the foot brake is more external fears, like getting an STI or getting caught having sex or unwanted pregnancy. So there's these 2 different brake systems running within your dual control model. So with all of that said, here's some of the key insights. Sex really isn't just about stepping on the gas. I think a lot of the time we think simplistically that sex is just about turning somebody on, but it's equally as much about turning some things off. You need to release the brakes too. And another really important thing to consider is that everyone's sensitivity level is going to be different. You know, when you get in a new car and you push on the brake and it's like really sensitive, That's the same case in individuals' sexual excitation system. So some people have really sensitive accelerators and they respond to the simplest hint of something sexy. Other people have more sensitive brakes that really pump the metaphorical brake pedal and become turned off really easily. Like the slightest scent of BO or one piece of their life not being in alignment is going to push the brakes of their sexual desires pretty heavily. And so understanding not only your partner's pattern, but your own pattern of sexual excitation can truly be transformative. Are you having trouble with desire? Maybe it's not so much about finding more turn-ons, but about identifying and addressing what's hitting your brakes or what's hitting your partner's brakes. Oftentimes, building desire within yourself or within your partner, it isn't about slamming on that accelerator, right? It's about letting your foot off the brake pedal. Once you start to recognize whether it's a problem with your gas or a problem with your brakes, you can really start to figure out how to create change. So take a moment right now and actually think about this. If your partner has a different level of sexual desire than you do, or maybe she really has low sexual desire just overall right now at this phase of your relationship, does she have the brakes pushed down too hard? Or is there too little acceleration going on? Now, this isn't every woman, but there was a 2008 study that looked at over 300 women and found that women often have more sensitive brakes and what can be called arousal contingency effects, which basically means things need to be, quote unquote, just right. Or it's going to be really difficult to become sexually aroused. Now, taking all of this into consideration, I would offer that you reflect on a couple of questions and maybe even opening this up into a conversation with your partner so that you two can both enter into a dialogue about what's unfolding for the two of you sexually and within your desires. Ask yourself or ask your partner, how sensitive are your brakes? What activates your brakes? How sensitive are your accelerators? And what activates your accelerators? So really figuring out what is dragging you down from your sexual desires and what is pushing you forward towards your sexual desires, and actually how sensitive are they? Someone might have a really sensitive accelerator, meaning they get aroused really easily, but their brakes might not be as sensitive. So there can kind of be a hodgepodge here of options, and it's really about exploring what's true for you, what's true for your partner. And here's the fun part. You can change what your brakes consider a potential threat. You can reduce the threats that turn your brain sexually off over time. So think like unwanted pregnancy or those STI concerns or that stress, whatever that brake may be for you, you can actually train yourself to not view this as a potential threat. And you can do the same with what accelerates your sexual turn on. You can literally train your brain. Your girl can literally train her brain to learn what is considered sexual and sexually exciting, which is really, really fun. So when I consider this system of arousal, it makes me think of this saying that you can put a lipstick on a pig, but it is still going to be a pig. So if you are with a woman who doesn't desire sex as much as you, applying the accelerator as hard as you possibly can isn't going to hide the fact that she has her e-brake on. You can hit that gas pedal, you can buy the flowers, light the candles, turn on the music, like do the fancy dinner, whatever you think is going to sexually arouse her. You can like send the meaningful cards, you can say the nice words. You can do all of these things that historically and maybe even truthfully are accelerators for her. But if her e-brake's on, no matter how much you're doing, it's going to be pretty hard to cover that up. The question becomes, how do you take the foot off the brake? Now, there is an entire book on this very topic, and if you're wanting to really better understand a woman's sexual arousal system, consider reading the book Come As You Are by Dr. Emily Nagoski. I think that's how you say her name. It's really, really, really insightful. If you're a dude, I think you're going to get a lot of insight. And if you're a woman, it's going to be really supportive for you as well. But I will give a few ideas right now for you to consider implementing into your life and into your relationship. So first, consider ways to lighten the mental load. One of the biggest break pressures for women is really feeling overwhelmed by life responsibilities. So taking the initiative to, yes, support around the household, planning things without being asked. Truly, nothing says, I've got your back, like noticing that the toilet paper is low and replacing it before she mentions it. There are these small actions that can be done that really indicate subconsciously and consciously that you are supportive of her. And that can help really soften her stress and really soften the break that she has placed upon herself. Next is to consider emotional connection. Your partner likely is looking for some kind of emotional safety and connection throughout the day, not just during intimate moments. I always consider that the foreplay begins the moment you complete your last sexual experience. So the moment that that last sexual encounter occurs, the foreplay for the next experience has already begun. So consider taking the time to have deep or real or just connected conversations, no matter if they're 15 seconds or 5 minutes or an hour. Connect with her in a way that she enjoys and that you enjoy, and show genuine interest in her world. You can offer that supportive hug when she's having a rough day. Whatever it is that you understand as a way to show emotional connection and support to really be with your partner is going to be huge in terms of softening that break. And when it comes to emotional safety, another powerful element here is to consider body image. So many people, men and women, have low body image, and that's just another element to take into consideration, especially considering that sex is really an act that's done naked or with really limited covering up of the self. So building an atmosphere where she feels completely accepted. Now, there's a couple of different strategies to this, but David Data is a sexuality and spirituality writer who has spoken on this in his writing, and he really found that women often respond better to a man's more uplifting comments about her body as opposed to pointing out her flaws in the hopes that that will motivate or inspire her to take action. She is more likely to want to hit the gym, go to that Pilates class, go on the run, get that yoga membership. If her guy thinks that she's super sexy just the way that she is. So coming at this, maybe you aren't aroused by her body and she can feel that. Maybe she has gained some weight. Maybe things have shifted since she had your kids. And she will feel that within herself and probably feel that you have those feelings too. So taking a moment out of the day to really engage in expressing the love and the appreciation that you have for her body just the way she is, and that often is what will feed the inspiration to take more action in really caring for herself. Another critical piece here to consider trying out is to really take into consideration energy cycles. So if she mentions feeling more energetic or aroused at certain times during the day or during the month, really plan accordingly. Consider stepping back from initiating intimacy when she's exhausted from a long day, or if you know in the morning that she's really groggy and it's really hard for her to wake up, trying to initiate intimacy or sex at that moment is really going to amplify the break system, not reduce it. And really, finally, practice patience around this arousal timeline. Take some time to actually figure out what it might be. And again, this is going to be a dialogue, a conversation between the two of you, but navigating when she may or may not be most aroused is going to be really helpful to amplify the gas and reduce the break. And women often do need time to transition from daily life to intimate moments. So creating a little buffer zone between busy activities and intimate time together, maybe inviting in a shared shower, a few minutes of cuddling, or even just some quiet time together or apart to release some of what was during the day and allow something new to enter into the environment for the two of you. And I want to share a couple of caveats here. This is not all your responsibility. There are deep parts of this work for your woman to explore within herself. Exploring her own self-talk about sex and pleasure. What messages is she telling herself? What messages did she hear growing up? Really taking the time to do inventory on her own self-talk and thoughts. Often women carry internalized messages about what they should want and feel during intimacy. And if they aren't getting that, then there becomes this thought of what's wrong with me? I'm broken, whatever that may be. She may also want to explore for herself ways to reach orgasm or arousal that are pleasurable for her. So her taking that time with herself to better explore that and then stepping into connection with you. Also, for her to look at if she has sexual trauma or experiences from her past that she would receive support from processing to release any shame or the sense that she can't trust herself or others in this part of her life. She may want to do an audit on maybe even what media she's consuming. Is her Instagram feed filled with posts of beautiful, sexy women that really leave her in a place of feeling less than or lacking? Or maybe she's got that People magazine subscription and she's looking at all those beautiful women, and instead of it inspiring her, it's dragging her down. She is responsible for her desire too. This is not a one-way situation, and I know I'm sharing this from the perspective of what can you do to create change here, but I do want to share this is really about building a bridge together. And remember that these aren't just foreplay techniques. This is really a lifestyle approach to help create an environment where desire and sexuality and pleasure can really flourish naturally for both of you. It's about removing obstacles rather than pushing for more gas on the accelerator. So, if you're thinking, this sounds like way too much work, Kirsten, look, I hear you, and know that once these brakes are softened or removed, the ride becomes so much more enjoyable. It's easier, and the intimacy and sexual experiences that can enter into this kind of a space can be far deeper and more expansive than before. So there is so much to be gained here in putting in this upfront work and making these lifestyle changes and really building this environment of desire. With that, I hope that this has been helpful. Share this episode with your partner. Have a conversation about building an environment of desire together. And please take a moment, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, and share what's working for you in your relationship, what isn't working, what have you tried with your partner that landed flat, what have you tried that went well. Share it here because this is for all of you amazing men. Again, this is Kirsten, and until next time, let's get some. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Naked Connection. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Trust me on this, your sex life and that special someone in your life will thank you for it. And if you really love the show, please take a moment and leave a 5-star review or a written review and let me know what you think. It would mean so much to me and this show. Until next